Hello everybody, welcome to Monday, the 10th of December 2018 with Dakian, as always your chaperone to this ramble about stuff I've painted. In the foreground you can actually see the miniature you the viewers chose, the steampunk warrior on his base. I added some flowers just to cheer it up a little bit. Otherwise, I painted him, I tried to... some people suggested rust effects, but I thought, nah, he's probably going to take reasonably well care of his equipment, but it is going to be kind of worn and dusty and a little grimy perhaps, so it's not shiny, it's a little bit more dull metallic, and some different, I try to go for some different colors of metallic as well. Hopefully that it looks okay. Not sure what you would think. Then we have these two guys finally completed. The let's see if we can, where's the focus? There we go. The critters, the last of that DVD project where I tried to follow some of Rick Reimer's instructions, and on the Dark Sword DVD I ignored her example here, and for the Frog King I went with True Metallics. There's no NMM. I didn't really do anything on the cloak. I just kept I kept the contrast really high, and you can see a bit too much shine in the shadows. I could perhaps try to dull that down, but it's mostly that it's I've lit this shot kind of hard, so there's more glisten, more shine, more reflection than there would be like in normal circumstances. However, for the samurai, now I went back in. I thought the back of his tunic was too boring, so I just freehanded some random symbol there, and I did do an attempt at NMM on the sword blade here. I'm not terribly happy with it, you know, but I mean, for a first try, it's not my first try. It's more like my third try at NMM. I'm starting to, you know, see what the point is. I don't feel like I grasp the technique completely yet, but I'm getting better. I'm not sure that Marika's way of doing it suits me. I've tried doing it once with wet blending. She does it with layering, with glazes, with very lots and lots of successive very thin glazes, and going back and forth. I don't know. I feel like the wet on wet, the sort of spit blending version I tried once before probably works a little bit better for me, but well, I don't know. We'll put those aside for the moment. And the last three minis, yes, I've only painted 6 minis this week, but they're all relatively complex, are the Christmas minis. We have Pilot Santa here with his well, yeah, not much to say about him. He's kind of an unusual Santa perhaps, but here's a classical Santa Claus dressed the normal way with a little teddy bear in his satchel, his sack of presents, and in the classical colors and in a classical pose, and all very, very traditional. And here's Santa's little helper. I went with, the only weird thing about her is I painted with blue hair, like pale blue-white hair. Thought this is a sort of a bit more modern punk helper. For her stockings, it's not boots or leggings. You can see it, perhaps it's, there's a slight bit of skin showing there. I went with mostly opaque. I did decide not to go with the sort of see-through or fishnets or anything like that. I just added some subtle highlights. The highlights are made by mixing the skin tone into the darker base color, so to sort of give the hint that maybe it's a bit of the skin shining through. But otherwise, yeah, I just went kind of dark with it, because I think, you know, if she's out in the winter, she would want kind of thick, solid stockings, not the very sheer type. Yeah. So, this is what got completed this week. Let's look at some projects still on the table. Looking at the Eternal Champion guys here, it might look as if not much has happened, but I have actually done quite a lot of work on the bases. Might be most notable on Elric's base here. Some more color added to it, and yeah, that was actually quite a good portion of the work. And I think I've done some more work on other dry brushed stuff like the fur here and here, and on Elric's hair, making it look properly white. And yeah, I'm about ready to start doing the finishing details. It's not really that much left to do. I mean, some of these guys, like for example, Hawkbone is mostly armor, so it's like the face, the hair, and maybe some details in the equipment, and he'll be done. For example, on Corum, there's more, like his entire cloak has to be done in a very nice red. He is the Prince in the Scarlet Robe, as he's known, and the sort of Harlequin outfit of Moonglum has to see some work, but you know, it's coming along. Here we have the rest of the Christmas minis that have been started so far. We have not much done on the Christmas Carol minis. Started on the others, and they've been given a sort of a dark brown wash to dark line them a little bit to see the outlines of them. And here's the bard. And the dragon trying to unwrap a present, and the cat in the box. Now I've put a heavier coat of the brown on the cat because in Reaper's picture it's painted in golden scales, and I thought that's kind of cute. I might copy that, and of course for gold you need an undercoat of brown. My only real issue is with this bard, this candle. It had a flame that broke off. It's kind of like, see how there's a flame on this candle, except here the connection point, it's not, it's very solidly connected to the candle. On Carol here, it was a very, very thin, sort of narrow waist between the candle and the flame, and it just did not hold up to handling. It broke off and disappeared somewhere. You know, maybe I could have glued it on, but I can't even find it. So that was some bad casting, perhaps, or a bad choice in the sculpt. I'm not sure which, but it's not a huge issue. You know, people won't really think about the fact that the candle isn't burning, I hope. Let's see, I'm not sure which of these I'll finish first. We'll see what sort of inspiration I get, what the fancy strikes me. Check my Here we have the Frost Giants in progress. Now, as for the Queen had a sculpted base that fit perfectly on a 50mm plastic base. I just wanted to raise the height a little bit. That's why I added another base under the base, so to speak. But for these guys, the rest of these guys, I had to take bases and I sort of stamped a texture on them, and then I added some rubble and some grit And of course, I'm going to add some snow effects after the fact, of course. These were easy enough to assemble, but they are honkin' huge. I don't know, Reaper, they seem to be thinking that, oh, this bones material is lightweight and relatively inexpensive. We can just make miniatures bigger and bigger and bigger. By comparison, here is the previous Frost Giant King, Brorim Black something, that I painted up. And put him next to these guys. Let me put down the camera and see if we can stand still on you. Okay, so the old king and the new king, they barely fit in the same shot. And you see, this guy is on a, see the size of the basis? Most of the previous Bones Giants I have put on 60mm basis. This is what this is. I think the Storm Giants were slightly larger. I found, I think I found some that were 65 or something. I don't know why. It's an odd size. I haven't been able to find it since. But for these guys, I had to take Reaper's 3-inch basis, which means they are 75mm in size. That's humongous. You know, fortunately, I'm not a stickler for base size. If you know, if you're playing D&D, very rules as written, you mean you know there has to be certain sizes. A medium-sized figure can't have much more than a 25mm base because it won't fit into the 25mm, the 1-inch squares. And you know, a large creature should be 2x2. That is 2 inches by 2 inches. That's a 50mm base. Anything larger than that is huge, or rather, or can scale up to gargantuan. But you know, I'm not a stickler for the grid. You know, I kind of fudge distances and the like a little bit in the interest of speed of play. So it's not that huge an issue for me. But for somebody who is a stickler, that, you know, this increase in miniature size would be a problem. Anyway, what's left to do on these? I need to put a second coat because I've added this grit. Well, some of the larger rocks, like these cork bits here, were super glued on, but then I added the smaller stuff with PVA glue, white glue. And whenever I do that, I like to put a second layer of very thin PVA glue over top to seal it in. And that's also useful for these cork bits because they're kind of porous, a little bit lightweight. I don't know how solid, they're not very that solid, but if you kind of soak them in a PVA glue solution, that kind of stiffens them up a little bit. It hardens them and makes them a bit more solid. And that's possibly a good thing. So then they don't get knocked over while painting them, because I'm probably going to dry brush them. Anyway, gotta do that and let it set for 24 hours before I prime them. And we'll see how far we get next week. So I can almost hear crying out, what is Dakian thinking? Is he going to start prepping even more minis? I mean, isn't he overstuffing the pipeline? Well, trust me, I think I know what I'm doing. You see, there's time coming up in the upcoming weeks where I will have enormous amounts of free time to paint. And I simply want to have a lot of stuff prepared for that. I don't want to have to spend time prepping minis then. I want to have them pre-prepared. So I'm preparing a lot of stuff that I'm not actually starting right away. I'm just like cleaning up and assembling and priming and things like that. So what you're looking here is a very nice card picture of a wizard in a snowy climb. And this should tell you what's coming up, because the latest Kickstarters I've gotten from Midland Miniatures have all had these nice art cards with them. This specifically is for the Kickstarter project Winter Adventurers. So I'm continuing the winter theme. These are not quite Christmas minis, but they're winter minis. and there is a bunch of stuff here. A bunch of guys in winter clothing, in furs and big cloaks and stuff. Even a few sleeping, or maybe wounded, or maybe even dead guys. And there's a lot of them. Let's see, how many in this pack? 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. And here's another 5. So 14 dudes. So, and dudettes. Actually, there's quite a few females. So yeah, cleaning up, basing, and maybe priming of this stuff for next week. That is what we're gonna do. Moving on. Well now, I wonder what this little box that I've carefully removed all labels from could possibly be. Let's open it up and see. Why? It's those missing miniatures from a Kickstarter that turned up a few weeks ago. The one with the weird tree and the little female wizard. These are the remaining 3 figures that I actually ordered or wanted from that Kickstarter. Which is from a company called Westphalia Miniatures. First of all, we have this female bard with a rapier. Very nice. The pose is very action-oriented. I'm just concerned that it might be difficult to fit her on a 25mm base with this wide stance. We'll see. And this is what she looks like from the back. Very interesting figure. We have a wizard who seems to be wielding a it's like one of those torch holders on a pole. He's ripped that up and he's holding it sort of like a gun. Possibly he's going to summon the flame from it to shoot out. That's nice. And then we have another female figure with a rapier. No, actually with more of a saber, actually. In a sort of duelist's pose. This one has keep together, so no problem fitting her onto a normal base. Now, normally, what I've been doing lately is try to put any new figures that arrive into production paint as soon as possible. I'm gonna have to, because these are not Christmas themed, these are not even wintry themed, and this month of December I am trying to stick to that theme, meaning these don't have the highest priority. I'm not going to drop everything to start prepping these minis right away. However, I will not put them at the bottom of my barrel, so to speak. I'll keep them near my work table, and I'll keep them in mind. They'll be in a sort of secondary pipeline, the slow lane, not the fast lane, to getting painted, but at least in a lane of sorts. And well, you just simply have to see when I get around to them. That was all I had to show you this week. We'll have to see if any more stuff shows up in the coming weeks. We've got 3 more episodes to go before the year is out. And there's I don't think anything else of it. Well, there's some Kickstarters that might or might not show up. Only one of those is actually for miniatures. One is for bits, specifically shields, and a third is for a new airbrush. All of these should ship during December, at least. Kind of doubtful maybe if they'll show up, given that they have to travel internationally, and you know the mail in Christmas time can be pretty slow. So, well, we'll just have to see. But in any case, I'll be here again in a week with a new episode. Until then, click like, subscribe, comment, and see you then. I'm now signing off.